Welcome everyone to another GPO tier list, and today we're finally ranking Kira. Holy, that took a long time, almost a year. I know the last time I did a tier list, it was right before Kira was released, and I didn't even bother to because you decided to release this garbage, and I wasn't going to spend my very precious university time talking about this garbage. So I left it for later, and later is now. And here we are in the new year. So let's start ranking. We have Soul and Dragon as the new mythicals, and technically Kira, but we don't know. They're not added in this update. I'm going to introduce a new method for ranking. No longer will my videos be opinion based, but now they will be evaluation based. I evaluated every single move in the game, which amounts to almost 260 plus moves, and I gave each move its value, and then I took an average per fruit to take out a PVE score, and the higher the PVE score, the higher on the tier list that fruit will be. Makes sense, right? Well, let me show you what it is. Here it is, my GPO PVE Delve Fruit tier list document. So in here, I factor in a lot of different things, and then I take an average for its PVE potential. So it all started with this. Here in this sheet, there's every single move in the game except for duplicate moves and mobility moves that I've marked in red here, as you can see. I'll explain that later. So each move I ranked it by reliability, AoE, damage, and I gave them a bonus for damage over time. For example, fire moves, poison moves. And then I also gave it a bonus if the move is excellent at PvE, such as Pika Ray, Pika Jewels of Light, Magma Rain, or all those laser melt boss moves. Then you're gonna have a base score and a total score. The base score is without damage over time, and the total score is with the bonus from damage over time. I have this counts for PvE column. So what this means is, for example, Kalo may have a descent and rise. Wait, no, not that example. That's a bad example. Spin. Spinning flight, for example, from spin is a mobility move, and it's not going to help you in PvE, so I decided to disable it with this column so that the program or the formula doesn't account that move and add it to the PvE score. And since the mobility move sucks for PvE, it's probably going to harm the fruit more than it should, and it's not going to be a very accurate score. So that's why I implemented this disabling thing. For example, Horo has the snap moves, explosive snap and twirl snap or whatever. Those aren't really moves that you use for PvE. Those are just moves that enable you to do damage. So I disable them because they're just there for support or whatever. Alright, so you know how the move evaluation works? Let's go into summary. In summary, this is the overall PvE score of the fruit. We have each of the 35 fruits here, and they all have the amount of scales they have, not accounting, of course, for mobility, which is why Pika only has 5 here. Skills with PvE excellence, which Pika has 2 of. Mobility, because Pika has really good mobility, so it receives max bonus. Devil Fruit M1s, this is, for example, Tori M1 scale with Devil Fruit, so it receives 5 points. But if the M1 scale with another stat that is not your fruit, like Dragon, for example, where's Dragon? Yeah, like Dragon. I put 0 because you're not gonna waste points on putting them on strength. Like, why? You're gonna fly in a dragon. You're not gonna be hitting your targets with M1s. Now, of course, the only reason you do that is for PvP. But again, of course, we're doing a PvE tier list, so let's ignore PvP. And things like Buddha, for example, Buddha has M1s, but it's only on the ultimate form, so it loses points for not having them on the entire fruit. Which honestly wouldn't be a bad idea, imagine that. Nah, I think that would make it broken. I guess they make it scale perform, whatever. Anyways, next we have Devil Fruit passive. This is if the fruit has a passive, for example, Logia, or Water Walk, or Tori like Health Regen, or any passive like that. I'll give bonus points for that too. So Tori receives a massive bonus because of the regen, and it's very useful. But for example, Logia counts for 1 bonus point, so Pika only has Logia, so that's 1 point. Magu has Logia, and it has Water Walk, or like being able to walk on water. So I gave walking on water 3 whole points because that is very useful for PvE, like farming krakens, farming sharks, etc. Next, we have these 2 columns, great skills and perfect skills. So great skills are going to be skills that have 8 score or more. And perfect skills are going to be skills that have 11 score or more. 11 score is the maximum score a skill can have. So if it's 11, it's perfect. It's one of the best moves in the game. And next we have moveset bonus. So what moveset bonus does is, as you can see in the formula up top here, it accounts for every single bonus as well as every score and all of that nonsense, and then gives it into a bonus. So that way, fruits that have a very good moveset, they receive a bonus for having a good moveset. And fruits that don't have a good moveset and only have like 1 or 2 good moves, then they get punished by getting a very low percentage, for example, Gura here. Even though they get a very low bonus, they're still really good and can rank very high on the tier list, as you can see with Gura here, being on A tier. So the bonus doesn't mean it's everything. For example, here Dragon gets a 29%. It's the highest percent it gets because of how many moves it has, and they're really good, at least for full form. But it's still second place, and it lost to Pika. And as you can see here, Pika has a lower total score. But since we're taking out the average per move, Dragon loses because Pika has more good moves. Well then, I've explained the entire list. I'm pretty sure that PvE percentage and tier lists and the tier are pretty self-explanatory. Here's the calculations I use for the tiers. PvE just accounts for everything and turns it into a percent and throws that on average. Alright, so I think we can start with the tier list finally. So let's move over. Right, so taking into consideration the document, we're going to be ranking the fruits. So at the very bottom, the fruit that gets the title of the worst fruit in the game is going to be Shijo, or heal fruit. It has no damage moves. That's all you need to know. So this is worthless in PvE. Next we have Suke, also worthless because its only damage move is the ultimate, and it's a little pebble that you throw with 150 damage. That's it. Next we have Guru, which is Spin. Where's Spin? Spin. It has 2 damage moves. 1 more than Suke, and that's literally why. The moves itself are for PvP, and it sucks ass. Next we have Ito. PvP fruit only. It's only good moves for PvE that are even, if you want to call them good, because they're not, is Fire String and Birdcage. Birdcage I think can only trap 1% at a time. I'm not too sure about that one. But it's the only AoE this fruit has, along with the stupid Fire String. That's it, and they do like no damage. F tier. It does have pretty good mobility, so if you want to be Spider-Man, eat this. Kira. Whoa, Kira. What do you mean, Kira? Isn't that the fruit, it's garbage, okay? It has a dash, and the dash does no damage. It has a kick that's probably the worst move in the game. Well, excluding Hail Fruit. It's a little kick that has no range, it's hard to move, and it's only a combo ender. Like, where will you even use this in PvE? And the other thing is just a self buff. We're not going to count that for PvE. And now the ultimate is the only good thing here. Oh, it also has a rock throw like Suke, but we know the history of rock throws, as you can see in F tier. And it's garbage. Period. And Spring. Spring is very funny because where's Spring? Yeah, there it is. Spring is very funny because it has insane damage scaling, but the moves are garbage and they're for PvP. Each move with max points can do up to 500 plus damage, which is insane. I was surprised when I watched the Blues video, which is what I did for every single fruit. That's how I gathered my data. I watched every video almost 3 times because I had to check for reliability, hitboxes, and damage. So I watched the max damage fruit from Blues, and I was surprised that Spring did that much damage. So if you want to destroy people in PvP, you might as well use this. This thing is all guard breaks pretty much. They're all guard breaks. So I think that's a menace in PvP. Well then, let's move on. We have Horror. Horror for horrible. Because wow, does it only have like 2 moves. Everything else is padded out with stupid different versions of the snap ability that lets you destroy your ghost in the first place, which is not good because for max damage you want the ghost to stay there as long as possible so that they like charge up. So I don't even know what's the point of these moves. I guess if you want to catch your opponent off guard, I guess, but useless moves. They're dead weight. I didn't count them because of that. So Horror ended up having like 2 moves because the other one is a stun. I didn't count that for PvE either because it's useless. Mini Hollow Barrage does up to 900 damage, so it definitely got almost all 5 points on damage. I think it got 4. But, well, it's only 4, not 5. It used to do a lot more, but 4 you nerfed it. And Horror is now horrible. And it's also very niche. You only use it for like farming Santa. Next we have Kilo. So what the hell is Kilo the common fruit doing above the rare fruit Horror? And above the legendary and above the other rare fruits? Well, you see, my math calculation said Kilo was better than these other fruits simply because of the massive AoE of the only attacking move it has. And the insane damage scaling it has as well. And the AoE is so big, it's Gura level. It's like Gura level of AoE. And that is super useful, especially with the high damage it has. Which is why I decided to put it up here in F tier. Well, I didn't. My calculations did. Next, we have Kage. Yep, Kage. Also F tier. This thing sucks. All its moves are mediocre. Not a single move is good. Not even good AoE, nothing. No damage whatsoever. This is garbage. What saves it is the mobility bonus because it does have a little bit of mobility, and the ultimate because the ultimate can do more than 1000 damage because it's just a better version of you that you spawn. It's a clone. And that's it. This fruit has nothing going for it. Maybe some decent moves like Bat Swarm, but that is it. Damage sucks. Not worth it. Throw it in the water. Meru is our first D tier fruit. We're gonna put it in D tier. Yes, finally. D tier. We're finally in D tier. Great. Meru is very decent with damage. Most of its moves do a lot of damage, but it only has like 3. And everything else is useless. So that's why it's in D tier. What do we have next? Bari. We have Bari. My favorite rare fruit. Bari. It has massive AoEs that scale with fruit, and that's it. So the only reason this fruit is D tier or that good is because massive AoE. The damage is very lacking and no mobility. And well, it does have mobility, but it's just garbage. And the only decent move is the ultimate. What do we have next? Oh, we have Yomi. The only thing saving Yomi is that the ultimate has massive AoE and does a lot of damage, and that is it. Some of its moves have AoE but do no damage or are pretty useless or unreliable. So, still in D tier. I guess you can revive yourself and it has mobility, so that's probably why it's scored higher than Bari. Next, we have Paw. Now, some of you might disagree with Paw, because Paw, I guess, has some niche uses, but Paw Barrage does not do that much damage in PvE, and I guess it's a little bit unreliable sometimes. I think the stun is not that good. Sometimes like the person can get out. The other moves are very short ranged, and they are trying to be Gura Punch so hard that they kind of fail in doing so. The only good one is Paw Bomb, because you can charge it. The other ones just, I guess they're guard breaks, but that doesn't help it a lot. They do very little damage. The other thing that is really good about this fruit is the teleportation, so it definitely received the bonus for that. And the ultimate. The ultimate, well, you need to be at half health to even use it completely, so that also made it lose points, and this is why it's in D tier. I don't recommend this fruit at all. You're probably gonna regret it if you try to eat this. Next, we have a similar fruit, Gomu. Yeah, it is kind of similar in that sense that, oh, wait, sorry. Gomu's in C tier. We're finally in C tier. Hooray! So Gomu is in C tier because by like 1% it was able to qualify for C tier. It has 2 barrage moves in second gear and in first gear. And those are pretty good. The one in base form is actually better than the second one. And they do 900 damage or so with a lot of scaling on it. So those are really good moves for farming. In fact, I remember dark rooting a PCAP for this garbage fruit when it came out because I thought it would be able to solo dungeons effectively with the barrage that used to do 1 billion damage, but now it got nerfed and now it's not as good. And then the rest of the moves are really garbage except for bazooka maybe. And yeah, I wouldn't. There's a lot of dead weight in Gomu, which is why it loses so many points. Next we have Moku. Very similar to Gomu in terms of moves, but it's a Logia, so it's higher and it's a legendary, I guess. It has really good scaling as well, and it has one good move with massive AoE, but it has 2 actually, the ultimate. And that's it. Oh, speaking of, I forgot to say that Gomu also has that big ultimate, but I guess I already passed on. Smoke has surprisingly good damage scaling, but its moves are pretty abysmal. It's a PvP fruit. Let's move on. Goru, which is still in C tier. Goru. Why is it higher than these 2? It's because of one single move that does percent damage, and that's a grab. The grabs are bad, so it's pretty bad, like in value. But the reason why it gets a lot of points is because it's percent damage, and percent damage is really good for bosses. So it received 4 to 5 points. I don't remember. I think it was 4 points in damage, and the ult is really good. I guess every ult is usually good, but the other skills of this fruit suck, and that's why it's a C tier. It does have mobility, I guess, so it received like 1 point in mobility for that. And that's about it for this fruit. It's very boring, and I wouldn't eat it. Next, we have Hiei. Hiei, well, let me check the thing here. It says rank 20. Yeah, it's still C tier. Hiei is C tier. Despite being such a beloved fruit, I like Hiei. It's just not good at anything. Hiei Stomp hits for some decent damage, but you need to hit all 3 hits, and that's usually impossible if the boss isn't some big ass kraken or something like that. And that's about it. That's the only good move it has. Everything else does below 200 damage. So, yikes. And it has really good mobility and Logia and Water Walk, so that gets bonus points for that. So without those passives, it would probably be an F tier. Nah, probably D tier, maybe. Something like that. Kind of surprising how low it is, but the stats don't lie. Next, we have Yuki. It's pretty much a slightly better Hiei. They even look alike. Yuki has a turret that does 600 damage, which is why I got a lot of points for that. The ultimate is really good, got a lot of points for that. And some of its skills are okay for AoE, like Ice Storm or Snowstorm and Blizzard Storm or whatever they're called, and Snow Gust. They're decent for AoE and they do okay damage, but they're not that much damage. And due to lack of damage and recent damage nerfs, Yuki is C tier. Oof. Now we got a controversial fruit here. Where is this one located? Oh, okay. We got our first fruit in B tier, Suna. So some of you might say, but Suna is okay, it's good and this and that, blah blah blah. No, it's okay. It's decent at best. The fruit is too slow. It doesn't do that much damage unless you're farming a specific type of enemy, and since it's a very specific type of enemy, it's not good for general PvE. And that's it. So Suna pretty much has 2 moves. Sandstorm or something like that, or Tornado or whatever, and the ult. And as well as Desert Spada. Desert Spada is a really good move, but can only be used in big enemies. You're not going to get any value of it in normal PvE, like single boss or single NPC. Not even in PvP is good. So the only reason why this fruit is even that high is because of the niche it can do. But because it's niche, it didn't get A tier or S tier. And the tornado caps out at like 600 in max fruit, and that is decent damage at best. It's not crazy damage like the next fruits are going to be doing. Because even one skill of Gura can outdamage Suna's little storm move. And has more AoE. Suna has a flight, and it has Logia, which I think I forgot to account for in passives. So I think Suna should have a higher, very, very slightly higher score, but I don't think it will change its position. What do we have next? We have Bomu. Seeing Bomu with Suna might trigger some people, but it's just the truth. Have you seen what Bomu mines do? Like, it's a massive AoE of like an area of mines, and each mine can do up to 80 damage, and they're all packed together, and you can just lure the NPCs towards them, and they'll take 1 billion damage. It also has a really decent skill that you can use to snipe, which has AoE, the little explosive bomb that you can do mid-air too. You can float in the air with it. It's the best rare in the game. As well as it has the ultimate, which is one of the most fun to use. It's a massive nuke. One of the biggest AoEs in the game. It does a lot of damage, and it's pretty fast. And it's just crazy. So imagine how embarrassed Suna has to be losing to a rare fruit. That is all for B tier. Now we're moving to the big leagues, starting with Soru. Hello everyone, again, Javier from the future. I noticed that I had not put the damage over time bonuses on any of Prometheus fire moves. So I just did that, and I feel like I'm missing some still. But because of these changes, Soul... Oh wait, let me reorganize the data. So Soul now stands above Sushi and Ope. Oh god, what did I do? Okay, sorry. Soru or Soul now stands above those. Yeah, that's a significant change. See how very little bonuses can improve the score of a fruit? So that's why I wanted to make this document. That way, any slight nerf to anything, I can document it here, and it will change the tier and percent accordingly. See how useful this is? Well then, I'll pass you on to past Javier now. He'll continue. Just remember that Soru is higher than it should be. So it's not gonna carry the fruit. Especially when it has so many other bad moves that I'm not even gonna mention because I already forgot all of them because there's so many. And then the other good moves are locked behind the stupid rage bar, which it's already bad. Because the rage, you need to farm souls, and to farm souls you need to kill NPCs first, and then you can use it, and then it's gonna drain, and then you gotta farm them again. So that's why it's not that good. So your best moves are that Prometheus Ray or whatever, Prometheus Ray? I forgot what it's called. And anything on the like rage mode. I guess you have a good mobility, but I really can't think of any other good moves that would benefit that. I guess the base form ultimates, they have pretty good AoE, but they don't do crazy damage. They don't do like 1,000 damage or so. They do like 800 damage, you know, very standard. So they don't get that high in the list. And the many bad moves hurt this fruit a lot. Unless I like remove them, this fruit will stay in A tier. Next, we have Sushi. Sushi's higher than Soru simply because Soru just has so many bad moves. It hurts the percent of the fruit. And Sushi also has some decent AoE, as well as a ultimate that is used for farming Krakens. It has a similar mobility to Soul, and it has very good damage scaling with gravity dominance and the meteors in general. Also, the meteors are huge in AoE. You're pretty much never gonna miss this, and they also a guard break, so that gives it a lot of points. And then you have push and pull, which are really made so they didn't get a lot of points. But other than that, the ability to use your moves while flying is pretty good as well. So that's why it ranks higher, because of the ultimate. The ultimate has a lot of damage. Next we have Ope. Ope is down here in A tier because it only has 2 good moves and that's it. Look, this fruit is supposed to be PvP, but even that is kind of mid without the Kikoku. A little cone that you spawn from the ground is not going to be good in PvE. And a little injection that single targets one enemy is not going to be good in PvE. And what else? Oh yeah, the counter shock is not gonna be good in PvE. It's a grab. Radio knife, I guess, is decent, but the fact that you stand still while you're doing it and leaves you vulnerable, and you have to look away or look at the person you're hitting, kind of makes it lose some points. And that's pretty much all the bad moves it has. Then it has gamma knife. It has mess, the heart thing, and those 2 moves have % scaling, which is why it's A tier. You hit something with a massive health bar and Ope is gonna melt them with the ultimate and with mess, the heart thing. And also it has tact. Tact is the rocks that you can spawn. Those rocks do a lot of damage. They can do up to 1,000 damage. So that helps it a lot. We have 3 next. We have Gura. The reason why Gura is so high is because Blast Clutcher can do 700 plus damage. And you have seen the AoE. The AoE is insane. And it's a guard break as well. And next we have the Tsunami. You know how crazy that is. It's probably the biggest AoE in the game. It does a lot of damage. Like 800 or so, plus 900 damage actually. And guard breaks as well. AoE. The counter is really bad, so I didn't include it. I didn't include counters for the fruits because it just hurts the fruit % score. It has Gura Blast, which is it's a better paw. It's just a better paw, and has more range. And the grab, it lost a lot of points because of the grab, so that's why I didn't make it to S tier because grabs are bad. But the grab, I didn't score the grab too badly because you can hit. Your friends can hit the enemy you grab, and that is very valuable because the grab lasts for so long. Yep, and that's it for Gura. Next we have Goro. Goro doesn't really specialize in anything, but on average, in theory, is a really good fruit. Like if this didn't have asthma, this would be a very solid fruit along with Mara and other fruits like that. It has it all. It has a very good ult. It's one of the perfect moves in the list. The ult is massive. It does 1,000 damage. Block breaks, of course. And it can be done in the air so that you're safe. It has Thunder Strike, or like that massive thunder that you can do. It does decent damage and has a very big AoE. It has that lightning projectile that can travel through enemies. And it stuns for a long time and lets you combo into the thunder. As well as it has a lightning flash, the guard break that you teleport, so it's like sort of mobility. But it also has the flight. The flight is amazing, so it gets a bonus for that. Now the only thing that didn't make it high in value is lightning paralyzation. That move got 0 on almost everything. It has 0 damage, purely PP, so that hurt the fruit a lot. Next, we have Mara, and I believe that would be the last one. Yep, Mara. Mara in A tier. Just like Goro, it's a jack of all trades, master of none. And the reason why it's higher is because of burn damage. The burn damage is insane, and Flame Pillar has insane scaling, and it also has a really decent ultimate, just like Goro's. Just Goro's does more damage. And simply because of the burn damage. Literally, the burn damage is what made it better than Goro. Otherwise, it would just be pretty much in the same tier as Goro. So if you had to eat any of these, I'd honestly just go with either Mara or Goro, because they're really very good fruits. In my opinion, Goro is the most fun legendary in the game. You can already see the next tier. And yeah, we have the S tier, literally. You're probably wondering, what the hell is Yami doing in S tier? You'd understand when you watch the Blues video. Yami has probably the highest damage scaling in the game for absolutely no reason. It doesn't even deserve it. It does so much damage. Each skill can do 500 plus damage, just like Spring. So in theory, it should be crazy for PvE. As well as it has a PvE excellence move, which is the what was that move called? It's like Darkness Expel or whatever, where you absorb the ground and then you throw a billion rocks. That move can do 2,200 damage. So because it has a farm move, it deserves it deserves S tier. Of course, it's at the bottom of S tier because it's not gonna compete with the next fruits. So after Yami, we have Tori. Tori is really, really good. The M1s do 100 damage. This fruit has burn damage. This fruit has a projectile that you can spam and it does 600 damage every time you do it. It also has very good passives that you can that let you regenerate. It has support moves as well that I didn't count because those are not going to be good for PvE. And decent other moves. Now, what really hurts this move is its base form. Its base form is garbage. Really garbage. And you need to, get your form, your big bird form to do any of the big damage that you do. So that's why it's low in S tier, but it's still really good. It's S tier. It's one of the fruits you can use to farm a lot, especially with the M1s. The M1s are really good. They scale really high. They do 100 damage per M1s. It's insane. You can fly, you can carry your teammates now, and you have really good survivability, so it's an S tier fruit. Next, we have Mochi, which is like 1% higher than Tori. And the reason is because Mochi has Chestnut Mochi, which is a farm move. Tori doesn't have any farm moves like that, or anything that can match the DPS. And Mochi has 2 barrages that are very decent, not very reliable though. It lost points in reliability because sometimes you can miss it and, it's kind of wonky sometimes. The damage potential of Mochi is really high. Every move averages like 200 to 400 damage, and it loses points because the ultimate is so garbage. But the AoE is massive, so it gains points back. And most of the moves Mochi has are AoE as well. You can use Mochi from far away in a safe place, like from a cliff. And since all your moves are pretty much Bluetooth, where they're point and click, you're gonna excel in PvE. And as well as in group fights, you can just touch the enemy, and your fists and your drops and everything's just gonna spawn on the enemy without having to put yourself in danger or having to be next to the target. Which is why Mochi is really good. It's long distance fighting. It's Bluetooth fruit. It also has a passive that is kind of useful, but I didn't give it a lot of points for that. And it has mobility. And it has a lot of moves that are decent. It also has one of the moves has fire or burn damage, so it got a little bit more score because of that. So next we have Ito Buddha. Buddha is insane in full form. Literally everything you do in full form will do damage. Your stomps do 100 damage. Your M1s do 100 damage per hit. Your divine whatever it's called does 1,000 damage. Your skills do more than 200 plus damage in general, and then you get damage reduction, which I also included in passives. So this fruit has insane survivability and it can buff itself. Problem is that you're massive and you can't really dodge any damage coming your way, so you're gonna take that. But that's what the damage reduction is for. Problem is, the reason why it's not so high in the list is because of its garbage base form moves, which make it lose a lot of points. But full form is still S tier for this. And it's one of the best fruits for farming bosses and stuff like that, because it's just, you have so much survivability, like Tori. And you pretty much can't die with a good build. And you do a lot of damage as well. Next, we have Doku Venom. Venom, well, most of its damage comes from poison. And even though its base form moves are kind of garbage, the poison kind of, It's so good that it just goes over the bad stuff. And the ultimate, of course, it's pretty much like Buddha. The ultimate is insane. It has some insane damage potential with a big venom cloud, and everything you do does damage as well. You also get damage reduction from this thing. Venom used to be the top fruit for PvE for a while until PKB2 came along. The DPS is insane with this fruit, but I think it was recently nerfed, the poison damage, and some stuff was changed, which is why it no longer is the king. And now we have Pteranodon. Pteranodon is just a better Tori without the survivability. Pteranodon has a farming move, which is Imperial Storm. You can boost yourself with fire damage, and it has decent AoE in full form. It also suffers from having really bad moves in base form, mostly for PvP. But the good moves it has, they just make it go into S tier. It's a really good fruit, and if you like flying, this is probably the best fruit for you. Well, actually, if you like flying, you should probably pick Pika, but if you want a mythical, use Pteranodon. Wait, I guess you could just use Dragon instead if you really want to fly. So, which, speaking of, after... Oh, no. After Pteranodon, we have Magu. Oh, yeah. Magu can walk on water, and that's what makes it go so high, because it's a big bonus. Magu has Logia, that's another bonus, and all its moves have no cap. So the higher for you makes the level cap go up, the higher this fruit's potential. So this fruit is limitless. It has infinite potential, pretty much. But since we still haven't reached its ultimate form, because for you still, we're still in 675 max level, then it's not the best fruit yet. But it has the potential to be, simply because of that. Because of it also has burn, really good burn damage. You know what's 40 burn damage tick? That's insane. That's actually more than poison, because of the recent nerfs. But the problem is that it lasts very short, and that's why it didn't get a massive bonus like Venom, because Venoms lasts very long. In fact, too long in my opinion. And now, who wins the best fruit title? Well, sadly, it's not Dragon. Dragon is insane. It has a laser-like move, so it wins a bonus points for that. Some moves in its base form are really good for AoE and do a lot of damage. And its full form is busted. Pretty much every move in full form is a really good move, and that's why it's so high in the list, entirely because of full form. Massive AoE cannon ultimate that does 900 damage or more. Also does burn, I think. The cyclones that you can spawn that do up to 2000 damage, and you can turn them on fire. The single cyclone you can spawn, that's pretty much the same thing, and it does a lot of damage. You have a flame breath, that's not even a move. It's just part of your M1s when you're in dragon form. That's just a free move. Wow. And it's just insane. Dragon is insane. You also get damage reduction when you use your, boost yourself with fire and stuff. So this fruit is, and it's constantly flying, so it's hard to hit technically for NPCs, because for players it's going to be easy to hit, but for NPCs it's going to be hard to hit because you're flying. And this fruit's potential is insane. What really hurts it is that it can't do moves in the air. Like, you have to be near the ground, and if you're on the water, you can't really fight in the water unless you spawn your boat on top of it, and then you kind of solve the issue. I'm pretty sure they're gonna buff that part, that aspect of the fruit. And now for the final contender, Pika. Pika is the best fruit overall in the game. It has everything you could ask for. The best flight in the game, one of the best farming moves in the game, probably one of the best ults in the game, along with Magma Rain. It has a decent projectile that does burn damage as well. It has light lunge, which is always reliable. You can probably never miss this move, but it does no damage, so it kind of hurt Pika a little bit. And you have Mirror Kick, which is massive AoE that stuns. It doesn't do any damage, but yeah. Like the DPS you can do with Pika is insane. And pair this with Cyborg, you're literally the PVE machine. So Pika overall is the best PVE fruit in the game. It's the most flexible. It allows you to farm pretty much anything. And you can even solo bosses with this fruit if you're skilled enough. And there you have it. The definitive tier list that you can't deny, because I decided to rank it using math and formulas and stuff like that. So this is based on the score of each fruit for PvE. And the score, I like how the calculations are done. As you can see, it's a really good tier list in my opinion. Maybe I don't agree that much with Soul, but it's just that's how the math works. And Soul is really just has so many bad moves. But I kind of like how it I like how the tier list looks. I mean, I agree with most of the tier list. I think the only thing I don't agree with is maybe Sushi being that high and Soul. That's pretty much it. But I agree with this tier list overall. And I will continue to use this document I made because it's very useful. And it's very easy to like switch and buff some fruits here and there to move the rankings if I think it's like, if I don't agree with it. But yeah, so technically it's still opinion based, but it's way more accurate. So yes, this is your definitive tier list. And I'm very proud of myself for making that document. Alright, so here is the tier list corrected. After applying the burn bonus to Soul, now the tier list definitely makes more sense to me. I agree with everything now. Let me see. Yeah, I kind of agree with everything because even though Gura technically doesn't deserve that spot, it does at the same time because of just how massive those AoEs are. The AoE is so big, it goes over the abilities of the other fruits because of the AoE alone. Like, maybe we'd have to separate it on another tier list in terms of AoE. That's how big the AoE of Gura is. And having massive AoE is really, really useful. Even like Gura's AoE is so big that I think it's more important than damage at this point for Gura only. And that's Gura's a special case, okay? And I really like this fruit as well. It's pretty good. It's slow and has big cooldowns, but that's what makes Gura very strong. Because if you have small cooldowns with this fruit, it's gonna dominate. So yeah, that's why Gura is that high. Everything in A tier is pretty like well-rounded, you could say. They're able to do a lot of things, and they're very, their kits are very versatile. But S tier is just in a whole other level, and they're pretty much farming fruits. If you don't have these, these fruits on you, well, that means you don't have your maximum PvE potential. Well then, see you guys on the next tier list. Goodbye.